Hey everybody, this is Ted Check, recovering reporter. All right, so this is something that has percolated to the surface recently, but apparently there's been a long-running feud going on between the Biden White House and the New York Times. And that's shocking, really, because typically the New York Times leans left. I think that's kind of a given. I think everybody pretty much accepts that for what it is. They lean left, so one would think that generally speaking, the paper would be, uh, at least sympathetic or favorable to the Democrat Party. This here, and as an aside, a total aside, this is our president here. Why do they let his hair grow out like this in the back? That looks just really weird. It looks kind of bizarre. I mean, like that should be trimmed right there, don't you think? Instead of letting it hang like it's almost like he has a mullet. I had a mullet too, but that was back in the 80s. Anyway, that aside, so Politico here has been covering this. They've been doing a really good job of covering this feud, and so something I want to focus on here. And you can read this story because it goes into really deep details as far as how this might have started, this feud, but tensions. Tensions bubbling beneath the surface for at least 5 years. Biden's closest aides had come to see the Times as arrogant, intent on setting its own rules, and unwilling to give Biden his due. Inside the paper's D.C. bureau, the punitive response seemed to typify a press operation that was overly sensitive and determined to control the coverage of the president. Well, you know, yeah, there's always going to be, it's a delicate balance. There's always going to be that battle between the source and the media outlet, because the media outlet doesn't kowtow or shouldn't kowtow to anyone, and is going to do what it feels it needs to do. And then the other side is going to say, hey, look, this is what we're presenting. Can you please please present us in a favorable light? But this other story by Politico talks about how now the New York Times is saying that Joe Biden and his crew at the White House are avoiding media interviews, and that is establishing a dangerous precedent, quote unquote. It's troubling that Biden has so actively and effectively avoided questions from independent journalists during his term. Independent and mainstream journalists as well. It's kind of interesting that they would say independent journalists when the Times is as mainstream as you can get. But yeah, they've really taken him to task over that he has ducked the media. And yeah, when you see the president at a news conference, he then just turns around and the media is all there, and they're throwing questions at him, they're barking questions at him. He just turns around and walks off. And then he's got his thank you people to usher the media out. It's incredibly annoying, and that's I don't know, that to me that's not the way that a president should act. I mean, whether you like him or whether you hate him, at least President Trump would sit there and take questions from the media. I mean, he spent a lot of time in front of the media taking questions. He may not have given the answers that the media wanted. He may have been frustrating to a lot of people and angering to a lot of people, but he took the questions from the media. You can't say the same about this president. He just, anytime he's in front of the microphone, I rarely, if ever, does he just freely take questions. He's always got to have a little piece of paper in front of him, or a teleprompter or something like that. He can't seem to do it an improv, if you will. And yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I think it's rare that I would side with the New York Times, but I am in this case because I support journalism, true journalism, and journalism as it should be practiced. And so I support the New York Times in this. I think they have a point here that it does reflect poorly on this president and on the office of the presidency. It reflects poorly, negatively, and hopefully, I don't know if anything's going to be done at this point. I think it's going to be status quo. I think the president will continue to avoid the media leading up to the November election. um, because of the fear that possibly you could say something that would jeopardize his campaign. And I don't think he's going to take that chance. I'm sure his handlers are advising him not to take any questions. So that's going to continue. And he might continue to do kind of offbeat interviews like he just did with Howard Stern. He'll do some stuff like that. And I mean, and that was, I guess, I don't know if the questions were planned out or not. We might never know that. But typically, he likes to have his questions planned out beforehand when he does take questions from the media. So yeah, I think it's going to just continue along that path where he's going to avoid the media and doing anything that's spontaneous or improvisational. So let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you later.